Luka just flew the entire Lakers roster out to his home country of Slovenia for an off-season minicamp, and word is he's pulling out the all-stops. A private charter, custom Slovenian gifts for each guy, a dinner reservation at one of his go-to spots, plus fishing trips, sightseeing, golf, and naturally, on-court workouts. To me, this reads as something bigger than just a few pickup runs before the season starts. And once you look at what other European and even some non-European NBA stars have pulled off in the past, this move starts to make a lot more sense. The clearest explanation here is simple. This Lakers team genuinely needs bonding time. It's not only that LeBron James is out the door. Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, Luke Kornet, and Jared Vanderbilt are all gone too. 9 players are stepping into their very first season as Lakers. That's Walker Kessler, Quentin Grimes, Jaden Hardy, Colin Sexton, Zandro Mamukelashvili, Kevon Looney, Matisse Thybulle, DeAndre Williams, and rookie Cameron Christie. Basically, half the roster is brand new. A few faces already have history. Hardy and Grimes both suited up alongside Luka back in Dallas, but as a unit, this is an entirely new team taking shape around Doncic and Austin Reeves. And since official training camp is still weeks off, getting everybody together now just makes practical sense. Here's the part that really stands out though. Luka isn't simply attending this trip, he's the one running the entire operation, which is notable when you think about who used to hold that role on this team. Because for the very first time since Luka arrived in LA, LeBron isn't around anymore. Whatever your opinion was on how they fit together on the floor, Luka stepped into a locker room where the pecking order was already firmly in place. Most of you probably remember exactly what LeBron told him in his debut game as a Laker. Be yourself, don't force it, get out there and dominate. So with LeBron beside him, Luka could just focus on being Luka, running the offense, easing into the franchise gradually, all while soaking up lessons from one of the league's most seasoned leaders. That chapter's closed now. Luka has to actually become the leader for this team, not just its best scorer. See, LeBron used to be the one organizing these kinds of off-season get-togethers himself, so somebody needed to inherit that job. And one of Luka's first big statements after LeBron's exit was essentially, "Come to my country, I've got this handled." He's already carrying himself like the guy responsible for holding this roster together. But being the most talented player on the court and actually commanding a locker room, two completely different challenges. Leading through basketball has never been Luka's issue. Hand him the ball and everyone else naturally organizes around him. That's played out with the Mavericks, with the Slovenian national team, and now with the Lakers too. But now the front office is letting his influence extend to roster construction as well. Reportedly, Luka was pushing hard behind the scenes for the Walker Kessler trade. LA ended up sending Utah unprotected first-rounders in 2031 and 2033, along with pick swaps in 2028 and 2020. That's an enormous bet placed on a player Luka specifically wanted alongside him. On top of that, the team locked in long-term deals this summer with Reeves, Grimes, and Mamukelashvili. So at this point, Luka's roster is unmistakably shaped around what he wants. The obvious next challenge is getting these new pieces to actually gel. And rather than sitting around waiting for training camp to sort that out, Luka is already taking matters into his own hands.
Honestly, doing this specifically in Slovenia strikes me as a smart move on his part. It lets him lead in a way that feels natural instead of forcing some overnight personality change. He easily could have defaulted to the standard NBA playbook and just rented a gym in Vegas or LA, but that's not who Luka is. Instead, he made the whole thing feel personal and genuinely interesting. His own country, his hometown, his favorite restaurant, fishing, golf, the works. I even saw a reporter compare the setup to a bachelor trip, which honestly isn't far off. But what Luka's doing here is smart, because most of these guys have zero history playing together, and now he gets 5 straight days hosting them, not just showing them around, but revealing a side of himself they'd probably never see inside a normal NBA setting. This way, he sidesteps having to imitate LeBron's exact brand of leadership. And there are a couple of strong examples of players saying trips like this genuinely reshaped how they saw their teammates. I'll get into those shortly. Quick pause here because I actually want to talk about today's sponsor, Particle. I mean this, I'm genuinely impressed and think it's worth your attention. We all know by now we should be wearing sunscreen daily, but let's be honest, most sunscreens are unpleasant. Bad smell, greasy texture, and that awful white cast that makes you look like you just walked out of a costume shop. That's exactly why I'm into Particle's SPF 40 face shield. It's a fully invisible sunscreen that applies effortlessly, goes on completely clear, and once it sinks in, your skin basically feels bare. The texture is genuinely pleasant, lightweight, and it actually smells nice too. You're still getting full broad-spectrum UVA, UVB coverage, and it won't sting your eyes or irritate your skin, which makes it great whether you're working out or just outdoors, like me right now with my dog, Suzuki. Check out Particle through the link below and use code NBA20 for 20% off, backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, back to the video. Now, I think Keontae George gave the best explanation for why visiting a European teammate's home country actually matters. After his rookie year in Utah, he flew out to Finland specifically to strengthen his bond with Lauri Markkanen. He was actually pretty detailed about his reasoning. It helped our communication on the court, being away from Utah, understanding why he acts the way he acts or thinks the way he thinks, just from seeing the environment he's from. They trained together, sure, but George also met Markkanen's family, toured his old school, and walked away with a much fuller picture of who this guy is outside of basketball. Honestly, I don't think cultural differences are something you can just explain in conversation. You need to witness them firsthand. Markkanen later said the trip took them from being co-workers to genuine friends, and that he could actually feel the shift in how they communicated on the floor afterward. Aaron Gordon had a similar experience with Nikola Jokic, spending several days in his hometown of Sombor. The horses, the lake house, local restaurants, everyday Jokic life. Yeah, and he just races his horses, man, rides his bike through the town. He's gangster. Aaron Gordon later said seeing that environment firsthand helped him understand exactly where Jokic's laid-back demeanor comes from. And essentially, that's the same opportunity Luka is now giving his entire Lakers roster at once. Luka isn't the only European star leaning on his homeland for team building this offseason either. Right after Giannis got traded to Miami this summer, the team's point guard, Davion Mitchell, wasted no time. One of his first moves was tracking down Giannis's number and setting up a workout with him in Greece. Mitchell said he wanted to start building chemistry immediately. Since Giannis was already staying in Greece, Mitchell simply flew out and trained with him in a modest local gym. Then there's Victor Wembanyama, who invited a large group of Spurs players and coaching staff to France this summer for workouts, along with some sightseeing around Paris. That says a lot about Wembanyama's leadership and the current chemistry within that Spurs locker room, which matters here too, in Luka's situation. Getting the full roster to buy in shows real respect from the teammates and genuine investment in making things work. And the Lakers organization itself has been signaling for a while now that this is Luka's franchise. Just last summer, Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, and other Lakers staff traveled to Poland during Eurobasket specifically to support Luka while he played for Slovenia. Pelinka said the trip was about showing support for what Luka does for his country, directly tying that gesture to his role as the face of the franchise. Lakers assistant coach Greg St. Jean went even further, spending roughly 40 days embedded with Slovenia's national team. So this connection between Luka's life in Slovenia and the Lakers organization didn't begin with this minicamp. The front office had already been putting in that extra effort. Now, with LeBron gone, Luka is returning the gesture from the other direction, actively stepping into the responsibility. He's also reached out directly to incoming owners Josh Kushner and Bob Iger, saying he wants to sit down with them and start building something meaningful together in LA. Again, to me, everything here signals that Luka understands the scope of his role has grown significantly. And honestly, given everything that's happened around him, maybe that's exactly why he's stepping up. First, Dallas traded him with zero warning, then he lands in LA. Mark Walter buys the team last year, and less than 12 months later, he's already selling it. Luka's even admitted he's grown accustomed to constant upheaval over these past few years. So in his mind, this might feel like the moment he finally becomes the steady, stabilizing piece of the whole picture.
That said, throwing together a great summer trip doesn't automatically make someone a strong leader. In previous videos on Luka, I've pointed out what I still think is his biggest weakness in that department: the constant referee complaints, the lapses, and getting back on defense. I get that he's competitive, but when you're clearly the #1 guy on the team, your teammates start mirroring your habits, good or bad. This camp is a great starting point, no doubt, but that leadership will really get tested once the season's highs and lows hit. Personally, I think if Luka wants to truly make this team his own and earn his teammates' full trust, that specific part of his game is what needs to change most. So, what's your take? Can Luka step into LeBron's old leadership role in that Lakers locker room? And what do you make of this whole Slovenia trip? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and hype this video if you enjoyed it. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And subscribe for more NBA breakdowns through an international lens.